Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Barhapidam Natvarvapu Karnayo Karnikaram Vibhradvasa Kanakakapisham Vaijayanti Chamalam Randhran Venoradhar Sudhaya Purayan Gopavrindair Vrindaranyam Swapadramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti Aho Vakiyam Stankalkutam Jighansaya Payayadapya Sadhvi Lebhe Gatim Dhatriuchitam Tatonyam Kam Vadayalum Sharanam Vrajema. Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagvangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. The Divine Souls. I've been talking to you about Sansar Ka Swarup. What is the nature of this world? And yesterday specifically we talked about the nature of the happiness that we experience in this world. And we asked the question, can it be called real happiness? So to get a definition of real happiness, we went into the Vedas, and the Vedas told us that real happiness must fulfill 3 criteria. It must be unlimited in amount. It must last forever. And it should go on increasing every moment, never decreasing. Then we looked at our own experience in this world, and we found that the happiness we experience in this world cannot meet even one of these criteria, let alone all 3. Because all worldly happiness, even up to Swarg and the topmost abode of Swarg, because it's all mayic, it's all material. So it's all, of the same type. Thus, it's all limited in amount, temporary in duration, even if it lasts for 10,000 years. If you had a happiness that could last for 10,000 years, what is the value of that in the larger scheme of things? Compared to eternity, what is 10,000 years of happiness? We want unlimited happiness that lasts forever. And of course, the happiness of this world we saw has the exact opposite effect. Meaning, instead of ever increasing, it's ever decreasing. From the moment you start enjoying it, it starts waning and eventually fades and finishes altogether. Sarve kshayanta nichaya patananta samuchraya sanyoga viprayoganta maranantancha jivanam. Everything is temporary in this world. The world itself is called sansar in Sanskrit. Sansar means sadakne wala. Means the thing that keeps changing from one state to another. Sansaratiti sansara. If you want the actual Sanskrit root, it means the one that keeps changing. Nothing stays in the same state forever. Scientists know this. They call it the law of entropy. Everything is always moving towards a state of randomness and chaos. It means if you build something, from the moment you build it, it starts decomposing. This is the nature of the world. It's the nature of worldly happiness, the nature of worldly objects. Every meeting ends in separation. Life is followed by death. So this is the world. It can't give us that kind of happiness which the Vedas say is real. So we know that real happiness is only in God. Divine happiness is unlimited, eternal, because once you attain God, it's forever, and it's ever increasing. Every moment you feel happier than the previous moment, which mathematically should be impossible, because you're already experiencing unlimited happiness. How can you get more than unlimited? You can't, yet somehow the anand goes on multiplying and increasing. Such happiness is not attainable through enjoying any worldly thing or by being with any worldly person. Still, we have a question. What is that happiness we experience from this world? Again, let's look at the fact that worldly happiness cannot be considered to be a substantially existing thing. You see, in the divine world, you can ask, okay, is there happiness really in a substantial way? Substantial means like this paper is a substantial thing. It's real. It has substance. In the divine world, that substance is called Sat Chit Anand. That's how divine matter, you could say, is described. So, what is the divine matter? It is Anand. Anand means happiness or bliss. So can you imagine? What are things made of in the divine world? They're made of happiness. It's like if you take sugar and you form it into a candy. The candy itself is made of the sugar. The candy itself is the form of sweetness. Just like that, in the divine world, everything is the form of bliss. It's made of Anand. It's made of Sat Chit Anand. So God himself is made of Sat Chit Anand. Thus, his abode is made of Sat Chit Anand. What that means is, in the divine world, happiness exists substantially, which means it's real. It's a real tattva. It's a real existing thing. But in this world, is it a really existing thing? If it really existed, let's say, someone likes eating chocolate. So in chocolate, if you're getting happiness from eating chocolate, there must be happiness in chocolate, right? It makes sense. Like you eat dal because it has lots of protein. So there's protein in the dal. You eat it and then it nourishes your body. So when you eat chocolate and you get happiness from eating the chocolate, is the happiness coming from the chocolate? If happiness were, you could measure it, like just like you measure, okay, in 1 gram of chocolate, how many calories are there? How much sugar is there? You can measure it. So you should be able to measure how much happiness is in 1 gram of chocolate. Now maybe you have to make some further distinctions, like is it Swiss chocolate? Is it cheap chocolate? Is it dark chocolate? Is it milk chocolate? Okay, but for now, let's keep it general. 1 gram of chocolate. How much happiness is in there? So you feed that 1 gram, let's say you have identical 1 grams of chocolate, 100 pieces, and you feed it to different people and ask them, describe for me on a scale of 1 to 10, how many units of happiness does this 1 gram of chocolate contain? Everybody's going to describe it differently. You'll have someone say 0, I hate chocolate. Someone will say 10, chocolate is the best thing in this world, and you'll have everything in between as well. So isn't that strange that if there's happiness in chocolate, we should be able to agree on it, right? Like if I dump this cup of water on your head, you'll agree it's wet. There's no argument. I can dump it on the person's head beside you, they'll say, yep, it's wet. So why can't we agree on how much happiness is in a gram of chocolate? Because there's no happiness in the chocolate. Well, I'll explain to you scientifically how someone gets that experience of happiness. We'll save that for a minute. But first of all, we understand not everybody gets the same amount of happiness from the exact same thing. Even something that no one can hate, like water. Everybody likes water. But again, if you give the same water to 100 different people, depending how thirsty they are, they'll give you a different reading. Like, oh, this water's a 10 out of 10. I didn't have anything to drink for 2 days. I was so thirsty. Someone else just drank a whole liter of water, and you offer them another glass of water? No. This water is going to make me unhappy if I drink it. The same water, one person is drinking it, getting a 10 out of 10. In happiness, and another person says, I'll get negative values if I drink this water because I'm so full of water already. And even the same person doesn't keep, never mind various people, let's look at one person. Let one person have the same thing. Now, that if there was really happiness in that object, that at least that one person should be able to keep getting the same reading, happiness reading, right? Even that isn't true. If you have, let's say, like I gave the example yesterday, your favorite song. So you listen to it, maybe you get a 9 out of 10 in happiness. Listen to it again 50 more times. Every time you listen to it, that graph is going down. The amount of happiness you're experiencing decreases each time. So if there was happiness in the music, actually, you should be able to keep listening to the same music and keep getting the exact same amount of happiness. But it doesn't happen. So this proves to us that happiness is not a substantially existing thing in this world. It's something else. We experience happiness from these things, but it's not because there's happiness in the thing. Again, take an example of a person. Let's say there's someone named Umesh. Umesh is married, has a son, has some friends, some business associates, neighbors, enemies. Umesh has a sudden heart attack and dies. Now look at everybody's reaction. His wife is so distraught at his sudden passing that she can't even maintain consciousness. She falls unconscious on the ground. The son is also distraught, but not that distraught. He's crying bitterly. The friend of the man is also unhappy, but not sad enough to actually cry. The neighbor, next door neighbor, he's sitting and drinking chai. His wife says to him, "Oh, did you hear? The one across the street had a sudden heart attack and died." "Oh, yes, these things happen. Can I have some more chini in my chai?" He has no emotional reaction to it whatsoever. And let's say there's someone who's a bitter business rival of the man, and maybe he even owes him money that no one else knows about. It was like an under-the-table loan. He thinks, now he's dead, I don't have to pay him back. Ha! That's great. He's happy that the man died. I'll save $10,000. Now let's say everybody thought he was dead, but he wasn't really dead. He comes back to life, opens his eyes, sits up. What's the wife's reaction? She's so overcome with joy that her husband is not dead that she again loses consciousness. The man's son is so happy that he's crying tears of joy. The friend is also happy, but not happy enough to cry about it. The neighbor gets the news. He's on his second cup of chai. He says, "Oh yeah, sometimes that happens." And the man's business associate, who now isn't free from that $10,000 debt, he's upset that the man isn't dead. Now look, if we asked all of these people, is there happiness in Umesh? First of all, it depends who you ask, and then it depends when you ask. If you ask the wife when Umesh was dead, she would have said, "No, there's unhappiness in Umesh. Look at how unhappy I am. I'm so unhappy, I lost consciousness." The son would have said there's unhappiness in him, but less than what my mother experiences. The friend would have said, "I'm also getting unhappy now looking at Umesh's dead body, but I'm not as unhappy as his son." The neighbor would have said, "No, there's no happiness or unhappiness in Umesh." And his bitter business rival would have said, "I'm getting happiness from Umesh." When he came back to life, it switches. The business rival is getting unhappiness. Again, the neighbor is not feeling anything either way. The friend is feeling happiness, the son is feeling more happiness, and the wife is feeling the most happiness. So you see, how could you decide? Is there happiness in Umesh? Is there unhappiness in Umesh? If there's happiness, how much happiness? The wife is saying this much, the son is saying this much, the friend is saying this much. So again, if there was actual happiness in a person, everyone should be able to experience the same happiness from the same person all the time. But it doesn't work that way. So it means there's something else going on. If happiness does not substantially exist in any person or anything of this world, why do we experience happiness? So the answer to this has to do with our desires. The more you desire something or are attached to something, the more happiness you get in meeting with that thing, and the more unhappiness you get when you're separated from that person or thing. Very simple, very straightforward. You see, desire is developed. Desire for a particular thing or attachment to a particular thing, we're not necessarily born with. Like a baby is not born and say, "Oh, chai pilao." A baby doesn't even cry for sugar, right? The baby thinks the mother's milk is sweet enough. But I've seen it. I visit a lot of households. Once the parents give that child the first taste of refined sugar, it's a totally different scene in the house. Now the kid is crying for sugar. So that attachment and that desire is developed. Oh, that's sweet. Gives a rush to my brain. Oh, that's good. Even a little child starts developing that attachment. We do it later on with so many things like chai. No one starts out wanting chai, but you taste it, you like it, you keep drinking it. It's not even so much a physical attachment, it's a mental attachment to that chai. That at a certain time in the day, I like to have my chai. If I don't get it, I feel like something is missing. That's not a physical addiction. You may be physically addicted as well, but it's more a mental addiction that I have to have it at this time. When I first wake up, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when I get back from work, whatever it is, or all those times, depending on your addiction. That's something we developed. We're getting that happiness from the chai. The person who's never tasted chai, he's not desiring for it. It's the same thing with something like alcohol. Alcohol does not taste good. Nobody can say that alcohol tastes good. Yet there are people who get so addicted to it, they're willing to sacrifice their whole family, their job, their whole life on that bottle. They love it. They had to develop that addiction over time. They started out thinking, oh, this tastes terrible, but everybody else is doing it. Let me also try. No, it still tastes terrible, but they kept trying again and again. Eventually, they developed an attachment to the alcohol. See, it's like a process. First, remember that we're all desiring happiness. Since we want happiness, we're going to look for happiness somewhere, either in God or in the world. And since the world is right in front of us, and it is made of Maya, and our mind is made of Maya, so naturally the mind is going to choose the world. If it's not educated, if there's no spiritual tattva gyan, through which the mind has been educated, left to its own devices, it will always choose the world. I want happiness, okay, let me try to enjoy this worldly thing. So then we think again and again, this thing may give me happiness, or this thing will give me happiness. The person thinks, by drinking alcohol, I will get happiness. Otherwise, why would he drink a bad tasting thing? Doesn't make any sense. He thinks, I'll get some kind of social happiness out of this. Everybody else is doing it. I want to be accepted. For some reason like this, he makes himself keep drinking. And eventually that thought becomes so ingrained in the mind that there is happiness in alcohol, that he becomes attached to it. So through thinking there's happiness in this thing, you develop an attachment. As many times as you think it, that big the attachment grows. And once the attachment has been formed, the desire keeps coming back automatically in the mind. So you have an initial desire for happiness. That leads you to start desiring a worldly thing. You start thinking about that worldly thing again and again as a source of happiness. That creates an attachment. That attachment causes the desire, even when you're not consciously thinking, oh, I should want this thing. It just comes automatically in your mind. One time, Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj was giving a speech, and from the middle of the speech, 3 men got up and just walked out, and they were gone maybe 5-10 minutes, and then they came back, sat down and kept listening. So after the speech, Sri Maharaji asked them, where did you go in the middle of my speech? Nahi Maharaji, kahin nahi. No, what were you doing? Tell me. Maharaji, we went out to smoke cigarettes. See, they're sitting and listening in the lecture. And out of somewhere, that desire comes. Their conscious mind is focusing on Maharaji's lecture. But from the subconscious, because that attachment to the cigarette is there, up comes the desire and it pinches your conscious mind. And you think, oh, I need that thing. And they needed it badly enough that they couldn't keep sitting through that lecture. They had to go out, have the smoke, come back. So this is how it works in our mind. Desire is natural. Desire for happiness is natural. That desire for happiness, as you know, is because we are Ansh of Bhagwan, who himself is unlimited Anand. So in fact, we're desiring him. Our original desire is for him. We're the divine soul. So we want divine happiness of an unlimited amount from God. And what do? See, that initial desire is there. It's not created by our mind. It's there automatically. But then the mind has to interpret it. Oh, I feel this desire for something to make me happy. And the mind sees the world, so it decides. It makes a decision there that I will get happiness from the world. We don't say from the world in general, we think of something specific. From this book, this novel I'm going to read, this movie I'm going to watch, from this friend, from this person, from this food, whatever it may be, different kinds of entertainments and comforts we have, we make a decision about each thing. This thing is going to give me happiness. So now we've created another desire. Our initial desire was for divine happiness, but the mind didn't know really where to go to find that. And it saw the world, so it said, oh, I'll get that from this thing. But there's an underlying problem. We are divine, and the world is material. So we're giving material things to enjoy, hoping for divine happiness. It's impossible. It's lunacy. It's like if someone told you, blindfold yourself and read this kirtan to me from your ear. Just look with your ear and tell me what this kirtan, what is written on this paper. You'd think we need to send this person to a mental hospital. Usko Agra bhej do. It doesn't make sense, yet that's within the material realm, right? The material sense of sight and the material sense of hearing, even they are restricted to their separate senses. And we're trying to give material things and expecting divine enjoyment out of them. It can never happen. Because we are the divine soul, we have to have divine happiness from God. But as I explained, God is not revealed to us. We can't see him, but we can see the world. So we form another desire. Our mind forms the desire to enjoy the world. That desire is not original. You understand, there's two kinds of desires. There's our original desire for happiness. And then there's a self-created desire for many different things in this world, which is created because we think we might get happiness from that thing. So we create the desire to enjoy that thing. The more we think about enjoying it, or the more we do enjoy it, and that reinforces our belief that there's happiness in this thing, the greater our attachment to that thing grows, and the more often the desire returns. Then it starts coming automatically in the mind. We keep enjoying the things of this world, and that reinforces our attachment and our belief that there is happiness in this world. Yet there's always still a doubt. The doubt being, why don't I feel perfectly happy? I'm not satisfied yet, even though I keep enjoying all of these things. That doubt always remains. Because it's all material enjoyment, so it can never make you feel purn or tript. You always feel like something else is missing. Yet, since people don't know that happiness is in God, they are only looking for happiness in the world, so they go on strengthening that belief that there's happiness in the world by thinking of getting things. They meditate, oh, I'll get this thing, that will make me happy. That attachment goes deeper and deeper into their heart. Then they do get it, they enjoy it, even though they're confounded, why is it not making me perfectly happy? But they're still enjoying it, so that multiplies their attachment also. This is called the cycle of worldly desire. In the Gita, it is said, Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bhijayate. Describes the whole psychology of human desire. First, you have that desire for happiness that's within each of us. You see the world, so then what do? Gita says, dhyayata. You meditate on your object of desire. Could be a thing, could be a person. What does meditate on it mean? It means you start thinking, this thing will make me happy. This person will make me happy. You see, you're driving by the new car lot. Even though your car is good enough, you don't need a new one, but you see, oh, the new model is out. The 2014 Mercedes is out. I don't need a new car, but oh, that looks so nice. Maybe you have to drive by the car lot every day on the way to work. So you look at it once. Okay, it's just one time. On your way home again, you saw it. That black model really is nice. Just again a thought, kept going. Next morning again you drive by. Oh, yeah. After 10, 20 times you've thought about it so much, you've started developing an attachment. Eventually you're going to pull into the lot and take it for a test drive. That desire grows each time you think about it. This is a meditation. It's an emotional meditation on the object of your desire. We do it with people as well. There's no such thing as love at first sight. There's such thing as attraction at first sight. Love means attachment. Nobody is instantly attached. You can be instantly attracted because you think, this person could make me happy. That's the attraction. So that the feeling of attraction is because in your mind you see the person and you think, I think I could get happiness from that person. If they come close to me, if they talk to me, if they like me, that will give me happiness. That's the initial attraction. Then you keep thinking that this person will make me happy, or when you spend time with them, you keep thinking about all the ways they do make you happy. This multiplies the attachment. Once that attachment has been formed, we feel that as a feeling of love in our heart, that I love this person. But that feeling of love and the feeling of happiness you get by being with the person is self-created. You created the attachment by thinking again and again, this person will make me happy. We do it with things, we do it with people. We call that love. It's a self-created attachment. If you, let's say in some hypothetical situation, a wife decides to play an April Fool's joke on her husband. She writes a note pretending that she's writing it to her secret lover. And she leaves it out where her husband can find it. She doesn't. She's pativrata, but she's playing a joke on him. So she writes, oh my dear, I can't wait to meet you again. I'm counting down the days until I'll leave my husband, and then we can be together forever. Love always. And she signs her name. And she leaves the note out, just partly hidden, like it doesn't look like it's left there on purpose, but partly showing. So the husband comes home, he sees that, just picks it up, reads it. Oh! Before reading that note, he was thinking, I love my wife so much, I could never live without her. And in one moment after reading the letter, what was he thinking? If I see my wife again, something bad might happen. Get out! Get out of the house. I'm divorcing you. See that? Love it didn't just disappear, it turned to hate. And his mother, who's there in the house as well, says, "Oh, my dear son, don't you know? Today's April Fool's Day." Oh, I knew my wife could never do such a thing. The love comes back immediately. So you see, the love is dependent upon our thinking. The happiness that the man was usually getting from seeing his wife was gone. Why? His thinking changed. So we create the attachment through our positive thinking, and however much attachment we have, that much feeling of love and happiness we get when we're with the person. That happiness is not coming from them. The love is not coming from them. The love feeling is self-created and in our own heart. So take the example of Umesh. The wife was more attached to him. That's why she got more happiness when he was alive, and she felt more unhappiness when she thought he was dead. The son had less attachment than the wife, thus he felt less happiness and less unhappiness. The friend had even less attachment, so he got even less happiness and less unhappiness. The neighbor had no attachment, so he didn't feel happy when he was alive. He didn't feel sad when he was dead. And that bitter business rival, he had a negative attachment. He had dvesh for the person, so he was unhappy about him being alive and happy when he was dead. We create all of this, Shri Krishna says, through dhyayata. You think again and again. You meditate on that person. Oh, I love this about them, or I hate that about them. Whichever way your mind is going, you're developing rag or dvesh. Both are forms of attachment. So, dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate. Sangha means asakti, attachment. Through this continuous remembrance of a person or thing, you develop asakti to them. Then what? Sangat sanjayate kama. Out of this attachment comes kamana, desire. The more attachment you have to a person or thing, the more you will desire them. Less attachment, less desire. Then when you get that thing, you enjoy that thing, you enjoy being with that person. How much enjoyment do you get? Equal to the amount of desire you had for them, which is equal to the amount of attachment you had for them, which is equal to the amount of chintan you've done about that person. So you see, the whole experience of happiness is self-created. You did the meditation, this person will make me happy, this thing will make me happy. That created an attachment. That attachment led to desire. The more desire you have, the more happiness you get when you're with that person. Very simple to understand. So now we see that the happiness we experience in this world is not because there's happiness in anything or in any person. The happiness is an experience of our mind, which is dependent on the positive view of our mind towards that person or thing. It's not a stable existence. The happiness of this world is very fragile. For one, as you're enjoying that thing, your desire is decreasing, right? You're hungry, so the first bite tastes great because your desire to eat is great. With every bite, your desire to eat decreases. So the happiness you're getting from that thing goes on decreasing. And other types of happiness, like the happiness you get from being with a person, that's also very fragile, because if your thinking about the person changes, then the happiness decreases. If you start noticing, oh no, I thought this person could make me happy, I thought they were this kind of person, a very good person, But oh no, I don't like this thing about them. Now you're going to get less happiness. When that person looks at you, your heart won't jump quite as much. See, it changed. Did the amount of happiness in the person change? No, because there was never any happiness in the person. The amount of happiness you're experiencing changed because your thinking changed. Very simple. Everyone can turn their cell phones off when you come in the mandir, please. At least turn the ringers off. Try to remember. So, there's one other way that we think we feel happy. We do feel happy, but it's again not because there's any actual happiness in the thing. The reduction of sorrows also gives us an experience of happiness. See, let's say you got a notification from the bank that you defaulted on your mortgage and they're taking over your house, you're going to be kicked out. And on the same day you lost your job. You're miserable. Then you get, the bank calls you and says, oh no, sorry, we sent you that notification by accident. There was a clerical error. You're not in default. You get to keep your house. You feel happy, right? Not really. You're still miserable because you lost your job. But now instead of two things making you miserable, you only have one thing making you miserable. So you feel, oh, what a relief. No, you're not really happy about it. Oh, I didn't lose my house. Oh, I'm so relieved. That's not happiness. It's just less suffering. That's all. Like you have two prisoners. They don't do this, hopefully, in prisons in America, but let's say you have two prisoners and one is made to stand in the hot sun and the other one is sitting in the shade. So the one sitting in the shade is relaxed, the one standing in the blistering hot sun is miserable. The guard tells the one sitting in the shade, now you stand in the sun. He's unhappy about the situation now. And the other one, not only is he standing in the sun, but he's being whipped. So think about the situation. One was in the shade. Okay, it's fine. While he's in the shade, his buddy is standing in the hot sun and he's being whipped. Now, the guard stops whipping the one man and tells the other man to come here and stand in the sun next to his buddy. The one who is being whipped is happy. Oh, the whipping stopped. And the one who had been sitting in the shade, he's standing in the sun now and he's miserable. Because he went from a comfortable situation to an uncomfortable situation. Both men are standing in the same place. One is happy, one is miserable. Why? Because one had a misery added and the other had, even though he's still miserably standing in the sun, but one of his miseries was removed. So he thinks, oh, I'm so happy. We fool ourselves in this way into thinking that we're getting happiness. But it's not. It's just a reduction in sorrows. So it all depends on our thinking, which can change at any time. The happiness isn't in the thing. Let's say it's your birthday and there's a delivery of a dozen roses to your door. And you think, oh, someone remembered me on my birthday. That's so nice. Looking at the roses is giving you happiness. You open the card and read it. It's from your ex-wife or ex-husband. And they're mocking you, saying, I hope you're alone on your birthday. You look at these roses and you throw them in the trash. Why? Now they're making you unhappy. So ask yourself, was there happiness in the roses? And is there now unhappiness in the roses? No, there was no happiness and there's no unhappiness in the roses. It all depends only upon your thinking. So this is why we say there is no happiness or unhappiness in this world. Tasmad dukhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. Vishnu Puran. There is not even one iota of happiness in this world, nor is there one iota of unhappiness. There is no sukh and no dukh. But we experience it. Yes, you create your own experience by thinking, creating attachments. If you create a positive attachment, what we call rag, then when you get that thing, you feel happiness. However big your desire was for that thing, that's how much happiness you get. When you lose that thing, you get the same amount of unhappiness. So although there are physical situations in the world that can give you pain or comfort, that can't be denied. So there is real pain and there is real comfort in the world, physically speaking. But the emotional happiness or unhappiness, that doesn't exist in this world. The world is what it is. It's neither the form of happiness nor the form of unhappiness, but we get the experience of happiness or unhappiness based on our thinking and our attachments in this world. So this brings up the question, how are we supposed to live in the world? Are we supposed to do like the story of that king I told you yesterday? He left everything. He even decided to renounce his body. Are we supposed to become renounced in that way from the world? Or is there some kind of reconciled view? Meaning, are we required to have total physical renunciation from the world in order to find God or in order to pursue the path of God realization? Or can we physically keep living in this world yet somehow have no worldly attachments? Is it a possibility? We'll find out tomorrow. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.